Today is Wednesday, May 14th, and we welcome you back to the Frozen Edge, your daily home for a deeper dive into analytics behind the NHL's betting market, helping you craft your picks, props, and parlays for the chase to sports' greatest trophy. He's Timo Seppa, former senior manager of hockey analytics at the NHL. I'm Casey Ditzel. Timo, what's happening today?
Hey Casey, still holding out with the good weather here. Looks like we got rain in the forecast. So let's go get moving here on the picks and all the stats, so I can get outside a little bit before the rain comes in at some point.
Well, we had a good night last night, 3 for 3 on our parlay there. I'm going to need to be a little bit better here. My brother ran over my car in the driveway this morning. So, so, so this is a big day for us here. We got to get
Oh,
some picks
geez.
going and we got to
Yeah.
get some picks right again. Dallas and Winnipeg last night. It was another team with a 3-1 series lead now as Dallas takes advantage on home ice, back-to-back wins, and Winnipeg will head back home for game five, with their backs against the wall. Mikhail Granlund, the highlight of it,
Yeah.
a natural hat trick that got it done for Dallas.
Yeah, he can be a big time player, right? He's been stuck in San Jose Sharks jail for a while, so he made a name for himself, at least in Finland, with a championship win for the Finnish national team as a young guy before he headed off to Minnesota. But nice to see him having some success and great goals for him on all of those. So just highlight reel off of just one game.
Jake Ottinger really stole that game. We thought Hellebuck was going to need to if Winnipeg was going to have success. Winnipeg had plenty of grade A opportunities and a couple down the stretch in the third period that really could have shifted the game. Ottinger came up every single time he needed to. I think the one that really stands out to me was that third period shorthanded bid that he stopped. But Ottinger could be, making a name for himself. Obviously, Rantanen is the Conn Smythe favorite right now, but a pretty big boost after that game. He went from 25-1 going into yesterday, 15-1 sitting now this morning.
Yeah, it seems, again, if you're a believer in Dallas, and I think it's not crazy to think that they could be the Stanley Cup winners this year, one of several teams that I might be looking at. Obviously you got to be all over Heiskanen with a couple of standout games he had. Those at the end of the day, those will be early in the playoffs. We'll see if Hayes. I'm sorry, I said Heiskanen. I meant Rantanen. The couple of standout games that Rantanen had early in the playoffs, right, with the 2 games in a row with the hat tricks. Will he be able to keep that up throughout the playoffs if Dallas plays all the way to the end? We don't know. So Ottinger is certainly, the storylines are talking him up, and he is playing well. So if you like Dallas to win the cup, I think 15-1 for Ottinger versus not at all as good odds for Rantanen. Starting to look like a good pick for the Conn Smythe.
Game 5 for Toronto and Florida tonight, 7 p.m. And both these teams tied 2-2. Have not seen a road victory either way. Toronto 2-0 at home to kick it off. Florida tied it up with back-to-back home wins. It is the Maple Leafs who are home underdogs here in this game, plus 118 odds, minus 215 on the plus 1.5 spread. Florida minus 144 to go 3 straight. They are plus 172 on the spread to cover the minus 1.5. The Leafs are 4-1 at home this postseason, though. And the one question is how they're going to be able to handle the expected physicality. It got ugly at the end of
Right.
game 4. There's been a lot of taunting going back and forth. We heard Matthew Tkachuk telling William Nylander, "I'm going to get you tonight." Do you think the Leaf Stars have what it takes to match that?
Yeah, whoever is leading the charge there for one team or the other, they got to keep their physicality under control. You certainly don't want to take a 2 or a 4 or a 5, and to have the game turn on that by your trying to send a message. I think that um, the teams will need to stand up here at the beginning. I think they're both going to thump their chests to some degree. Wish we had some props to go with this, right? Something with hits, something with fights, something with pims. We don't have that out there. If you do have a sports book that has those out on as props that are available, certainly interesting to think about going with some of those props.
Especially the Matthew Tkachuk hit over. One that would be notable. Again, most in the United States do not cover hits, but a couple various sports books out there might be worth taking a look at. Austin Matthews is a name that you have your eye on. He's been cold here, Timo, but maybe a chance to get some better odds since he hasn't scored in a little
Yeah.
while.
Yeah, I think that that's all there is to it. I mean, probably some of this is just small sample. He did well the last series. He did not has not uh, put up points this series. So, um, do you think how much of that do you think is Florida defending him well, and how much of that do you think is just small sample bad luck? I would say that certainly the numbers, the analytics would say that you would go with the larger sample of the fact that he's an elite player and that he is bound to be shooting and scoring and getting points. So that is probably the way to go about this, is to see that Austin Matthews could have a bounce back game here. Also, you're talking, um, yeah, about questions about matchups. You'll want to look at games where Toronto is at home or on the road, and if they're at home, obviously they will be able to control the matchups better. So maybe that gets Matthews away from some of the players that are checking him.
Matthews has not scored a goal in 9 consecutive playoff games against the Panthers. His last goal this postseason came in game 6 against Ottawa, had 2 in that first round, but plus 155 to pick up a goal tonight on home ice. And as Timo mentioned, maybe a bit better line placement as the Leafs have the last change. Also, can expect he's going to be shooting the puck. So, parlay booster, 3+ shots is set at minus 235. We're going to take the Leafs at home plus 118. We talked about the chances of Florida coming back when they went down 2-0. So for anybody who picked that Florida in 6, maybe a chance here to hedge a bet a little bit on the chance that the Leafs take this one and then Florida could still win it in 7 if you took the series victory, but a chance to get plus money on home ice for a team that's been very strong at home. The one thing that could be in the way of that is a heating up Sergei Bobrovsky.
Mm.
The Leafs have not beat him clean in about 130 minutes, and that's something that was brought up on the Ray and Dregs podcast. I thought was very interesting. The last time that he was beat clean was the Tavares goal early in the first 5 minutes of game 3 that put Toronto up 2-0. Since that, just the goals that bounced off defensemen into the back of the net. But
Yeah.
Florida's defense in game 4 specifically kind of got back to that style that we're used to seeing, tight checking, limiting the grade A chances. Bobrovsky has pretty good odds on some low save totals. You could get him at minus 150 for 21 or more saves, and that's definitely reasonable with a Leafs team that you could expect on home ice is going to be firing the puck.
Yeah, this is a question about, I brought it up the other day with Washington and Carolina. Um, is a team going to be able to adjust? Is a coaching staff going to be able to adjust? I said that I was disappointed in the Capitals coaching staff for not connecting the dots for their players to figure out Carolina better. The best possession team, the best shot differential team in the regular season was Carolina. Right after that, Florida, right? So you're talking about the same kind of team that the Leafs need to figure out. Um, they are much like the Capitals. That's not their game as much, but this is the playoffs, and good staffs, good teams make adjustments. So um, that's on Toronto right now to make that change, to not be shut down, to not have it be a 2-0 game. So, um, yeah.
The late game tonight is Edmonton and Vegas, a 9:30 start for game 5 there in Vegas. And Vegas is the slight favorite, minus 126, plus 184 to cover the minus 1.5 spread. Edmonton plus 105, just about even money there, minus 230 to cover a plus 1.5 spread. Edmonton can clinch a spot in the conference finals with a win tonight. The defending Stanley Cup champions are in a must-win situation to keep their season alive. Head coach Bruce Cassidy stressed the need for a better start, increased urgency, and noting the team's been chasing a lot of games recently. Vegas 2-7 all time when down 3-1 in a series. Even more of a challenge ahead there, but on home ice,
Hmm.
29 9-3 this regular season. They also started 0-2 on home ice, so maybe a little bit of hope there to
Yeah.
get one back here in game 5.
Yeah, I mean, all-time record. I mean, you're talking, the last. Um, it's not the last 9 seasons, but the last 9 times they were 3-1. I mean, it's over a number of years. The character of a team obviously changes a bunch over that time. Is there something that remains? Yeah, but I like that good home record at home this season. I think that definitely gives Vegas hope. Yeah, 0-2 at home this series, but yeah, I do like the larger sample of the regular season record. Uh, if you are thinking about betting the Golden Knights, uh, that is certainly a stat that would give you some hope there.
Leon Draisaitl held without a goal in back-to-back games, did not score in either of the home contests. The last time he went 3 consecutive games without a goal was back on January 15th. He's plus money to pick up an anytime goal. Leon Draisaitl at plus 115. Jack Eichel was another guy in the media
Mm.
talking about how the team needs to be more aggressive, create more chaos around the net. Couple props on Eichel, minus 156 to have 3+ shots. Eichel over 1.5 points is plus 164. So any combination of those parlays, usually you can find same game parlay boost to get 100% boost or some sort of variation around that. Can be looking at some pretty good odds here. Looking at the stat leads help here, Timo, that we've gotten. What are some things standing out to you ahead of Game 5?
Yeah, we got some good information from Stathletes for last night's game. We were talking about scoring on the odd man rush, and despite what the ESPN announcers were saying, Dallas does score off the odd man rush, and that's what we saw in last night's game. So what we're seeing for tonight for from Stathletes, I thought it was interesting. In the first round, they noted that Edmonton led the playoffs in inner slot shots per 60 minutes. That's at 14.6 per 60 minutes. And also led the playoffs with passes completed into the slot at 5-on-5 per 60 minutes at 12.1. So they pointed towards Edmonton being very good at creating shots from the inner slot. However, Stathletes also had Vegas defending slot shots very well. So Vegas, for the first round of the playoffs, allowed the fewest shot attempts from the slot per 60 minutes at 5-on-5 at 17.1. And they also, yeah, so um, what you're looking at there with their stats, we're saying Stathlete stats that Edmonton is good at creating these slot shots, and Vegas was good at defending against them. What have we seen in the last few games and over the series? We've seen that Edmonton has scored most of their goals on slot shots and tips. So Even though you had those two stats, those analytics going against each other, looking like they might cancel out. Um, Edmonton, they've been seem to be able to push that offensive advantage at getting those slot shots versus Vegas being able to stop them. So advantage Edmonton on what they've been able to do with that seeming advantage going into this series.
Speaking on Jack Eichel, he has multiple points in 3 of the last 6 games. And a guy, again, outwardly in the media saying he wants to lead his team to be better. Definitely hungry. Keep an eye on any Eichel props going forward. Timo, closing it off here. Any final thoughts as we look forward to tonight's slate?
Big games, right? We could be starting to wrap up these series, starting to figure out who's going to be in the conference finals. Very intriguing here. You would imagine that several of these teams that are up now are going to start closing out their series. One of those teams that's trailing, you would figure, has got to make it interesting here. Somebody is going to come back. Somebody's going to take it to a game seven. Uh, who are you liking as far as the series that are out there? Team that's trailing. Obviously, Florida Toronto was even, but the other series where somebody's trailing, anybody stand out to you who's going to be making noise coming back?
Yeah, I think I'm going to be backing the home team in all 3 of those 3-1 series. I think it's still Florida to come back and win their series from down 2-0 that stands out to me. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of that comeback already. But I think we're going to see game sixes all around. I've got Vegas tonight to make it game 6 tomorrow night. I think Winnipeg at home and Carolina on the road will lose to Washington at home. So I think we'll have trio of game sixes or 4 of them for that matter, because the Leafs and the Panthers are guaranteed to make it that far.
Yeah, well, if you have a bunch of game sixes, there's going to be a game seven that comes out of them. You would figure.
It does it for today's episode here, May 14th. We'll be back tomorrow on the 15th to cover a couple more elimination contests. We'll see if Edmonton can make their way to the Western Conference Final or if Vegas can follow my advice and continue this series going every day here on the Frozen Edge. Picks, props, and parlays for you, and analysis behind the NHL betting market to help you craft those. He's Timo Seppa. I'm Casey Ditzel. Until next time, have a good one, everybody.